name is Brandon, and welcome to Audio Addiction, where you can find the latest album reviews, you can find our band interviews, and you can find our live episodes, which we do every Wednesday night at around 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. However, we've been taking a break in terms of doing the episodes. We just had some things come up in the past weeks, but we're excited to get back into it. Excited to talk about some new music, talk about new topics, stuff like that. So if you've been missing out on that, definitely be excited. It's definitely coming back. If you haven't, go check the eye up in the right hand corner for our past episodes and let us know what your thoughts are on it. Also, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any new content that we bring to you. And also, make sure to hit that like if you like In Her Own Words, or you just like how I do these interviews. Or reviews, excuse me. I'd really appreciate it, and the Audio Addiction family would appreciate it. So definitely do that. Thank you so much, guys, for your support. But tonight, we're going to be talking about In Her Own Words' new record, Unfamiliar.
I thought that with a change of pace that I could get the hang of this. You're just another something that
So, for those of you who do not know of In Her Own Words, they're a band from In Vogue Records. They actually just signed In Vogue Records over the past couple months, I'd say. But they're a very, very big band coming up. I would definitely say, especially after this record, I'm excited to see what these guys do next. But yeah, so the first track that I listened to was Silver Lights, and that got me super pumped for it. And then just the other singles, I would sit alone in silence. I Was Honest, You Were Lying, and I Could Have Been. Those were all brilliant, brilliant tracks. I think they're great singles. And Nick Moore, who runs In Vogue, does an excellent job. I think he did a majority of that, but picking out at least the singles. But I thoroughly enjoyed this record, and we'll get right into the first track, which is Nothing Left. It's got this very gritty, opener part with the drums and the guitar, and it's obviously it just starts off with a huge punch in your face, very very just just aggressive. It's the way, it's just a good way to start off the record. It's just that got this like aggressive pop punk vibe to it, which I really enjoy. I feel like their vocalist just kind of adds to that whole aggressive kind of undertone that they have. He kind of reminds me a lot of Derek Descano from State Champs. So if you enjoy State Champs, he also reminds me a little bit of Parker Cannon from the story so far, in terms of just vocal phrasing and stuff like that. Definitely enjoy this guy. I would say a huge thing that I haven't mentioned yet is the drumming on this record is brilliant. Whoever does the drumming on this, A+ guy, did an awesome job. I think he's able to incorporate those typical pop punk sort of beats and phrasing and stuff like that on the drums, but also adding some nice tasteful fills into the tracks, as well as making it his own. Just He did an awesome job, and just the rest of the instrumentals in general have this sort of pop punk vibe, but they also have rock vibes. They have some hardcore vibes. There's fast and slow parts. But Nothing More is a great opener track. I would definitely say that without a doubt. It's got this cool, like I said, it's got this cool like opener riff part, and so I really enjoyed that. We'll move on to the second track, which is Sink Your Teeth In. It's got this cool slow like opener part with just guitars, and then after that, the rest of the band kicks in, and I just really overall like his vocal style. I think it's just a great continuation of what I was saying earlier. Just amazing. I don't know. It's just something about his voice that just captivates me and just makes me want to listen to each track. And I think the cool thing about this album so far is that I know there's only two tracks, but even if you count the singles, I feel like this track is very diverse in terms of, there are some pop punk heavy tracks, there are some more rock based tracks, there are some like heavier bits throughout the record. I would say. And also I feel like, again with his vocals, because they're a little bit grittier, they're a little bit more, aggressive in that sense. I feel like, they can kind of turn the knob of aggressive kind of undertones up a little bit because, again, they're playing off that whole like aggressive undertone like I was just mentioning. Um, but we'll move on to track number three, which is, excuse me, I had something in my throat. But I would say Alone in Silence. This was the second single that was released. Definitely, definitely, definitely enjoyed this track. I love the riff that he does at the beginning. I'm just a big guitar fan, so I really enjoyed this opener sort of track. Or opener piece to this track. But this one is a great single. I wouldn't say out of the singles, I don't know if it would be the strongest one. I probably have to say either Silver Lights or I Could Have Been are my two that were released prior to the album. Um, and I would definitely still rate them in the top without a doubt. But this one is another great one. I like the riffing on this again, like I've been mentioning. I would put it actually, I put in my favorites as well. It's just got this, like overall like pop punk vibe to it. And, you can't help but feel really, really moving and happy about it. So, let's move on to track number four, which is Strangers. It's got this cool like opener part with the drums and the guitar. It doesn't remind me of too. It kind of reminds me of this. It's just got this cool like kind of build up part, and then it kicks right in with the regular typical, you know, um, pop punk sort of beat towards the end of the build up and stuff like that. I feel like that was just methodical and very thought out and stuff like that. I feel like they put a lot of thought into these tracks in just terms of structure, how the tones will sound, how the vocalist will sound, how much overdubs they want to use, how much harmony they want to use. I feel like that's the sign of a great band, and they have plenty of that for sure. So we'll move on to track number five, which is Silver Lights. This is the first single that they released, and my God, this is the best track on the record. Um, and I would probably put I Could Have Been as another one of my favorites and one of the best tracks off the record as well. It's just got this cool like piano part at the beginning, which I know there are some bands that do this, but I really enjoyed the hell out of it. I think it kind of breaks up the monotony of pop punk bands, and just the overall riff of this track just got me. I don't know what it is, but it was just that one riff part that just stuck with me, and then just continue on throughout the rest of the record. Um, just I love that record, and the choruses, especially this chorus, is very infectious. I throughout the day today at work, I was just humming that whole chorus part, and without a doubt, best track on the record, with in my personal opinion, along with I Could Have Been. So definitely check this one out if you haven't. It's already out. So definitely go check them out. It came out yesterday, October the 14th. So definitely go pick that up. First week sales mean a lot. I'm sure you've heard it a lot. Definitely go pick it up if you support this band, if you like this album. I definitely liked it. I definitely am going to go pre-order it as soon as I'm finished with this. Um, Super stoked on this band. But let's move on to track number six, which is Collapse. This feels more towards the whole pop punk sort of vibe. They're getting back into it. I felt like, oh, another thing to mention on Silver Lights, that cool breakdown esque part in the middle of the track, or middle to the end track, and then they funnels into this nice piano part. Brilliant, 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 brilliant. Whoever wrote that part, A plus. I love that. But definitely, definitely one of my favorite tracks off the record. So let's get back to Collapse. It's got this cool like guitar opener part where it's just solo guitar, with this kind of like clean-ish, grittiest tone, and then the second guitar picks in, and then the vocals, and then it kicks into that atypical pop punk sort of beat. But I think the whole solidifier throughout this record is just his vocals. He's able to have those soft moments. He's able to have those heavier moments where he's able to let out that little bit of that grit, which I enjoy a lot, and I hope to see that throughout the next record and stuff like that. But Collapse is another great track. I don't know if I put it in one of my favorites yet. This is still very new to me. But Silver Lights has been with me for a couple months now, and that one's just contagious. So definitely continue listening to that one. But Collapse, I would put this one in one of the better, definitely one of the better tracks off this record. So the next track is I Was Honest, You Were Lying. Um, this very much reminds me of State Champs, a lot like State Champs, and just how the phrasing is. The drum work on here, I will say, is much better than State Champs. Not saying that State Champs' drummer isn't bad. I'm just saying that I feel like this guy puts a little bit more inflection. He puts a little bit more of his craft into it. But definitely enjoyed this one. It's another great single that they released. I think this one was definitely a curveball in my opinion once you get to the album. And I think the cool thing about this is just that it doesn't sound like, I mean, it does sound like State Champs. There are some parts where it sounds like State Champs. There are some parts where it sounds like Story So Far. There are parts where it sounds like another insert pop punk band here. But I think that they make it their own. And while they do have parts that sound similar to other bands, I think that they ultimately have this something differentiating themselves from every other band. And obviously, Nick saw that from Invoke, and obviously he signed them, so he saw something of potential, and I can definitely see these guys getting big without a doubt. Like as I'm reviewing it now, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. But this one's a great single. Definitely go check this one out. I really enjoyed this one. It just definitely a monotony breaker in terms of, like when you get tired of listening to a record, and when you get tired of listening to it, I feel like this is a nice breaker. And there are some other breakers throughout this record, like Strangers, another good one. I feel like they have some tracks that you're gonna get like those pop punk vibes, and then there are some tracks where you're just like, whoa, this sounds a little bit different than what I was expecting, but still in the same sort of vein. So, this one is definitely kind of the monotony breaker of the record, and I enjoyed that. It's something just a little bit different, but still in the same vein. We'll move on to track number 8, which is Revere, and this one takes it back to the whole pop rock, pop punk sort of vibes to it. Definitely another super solid track off the record, without a doubt. Really enjoyed this one as well. Again, getting back to the roots. It's a very pop punk esque track. So what else can I say? It's a very solid track, and definitely one to give a listen to. So we'll move on to track number 9, which is Drag Me Down. This one's kind of more, I'd say it's more pop rock now, you know what I mean? But still very good. I think it definitely gets heavier towards the verse parts, and they kind of break it up. And I also like the overdubs, the harmony parts. It reminds me a lot of 4 Year Strong, another awesome pop punk bands, excuse me. Easy core sort of band. So I feel like, they are incorporating, genres or specific bands in the genre. And obviously, if they mention them as an influence, that's no doubt what they're pulling from. But you can definitely get that sort of vibe from that. I also like the chorus a lot on this track. I definitely would say it's one of the stronger tracks out of the sort of different esque tracks. So I would definitely listen to this one. I really enjoyed it. We'll move on to track number 10, which is Cut and Dry. This is very cool. I like this. The bass just starts out at the beginning, and then the drums kick in, and then just, the guitars, drums, and then the vocalist kicks in. I feel like, it's a good way to start the track out. This is, I would definitely say this is more of a darker, heavier track. But I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the vocals again. I enjoyed the vocals throughout this record, but I really enjoyed the different approach on this track. Just the guitars and just the way it was written. I feel like, again, this is very methodical, very thought out, and I don't think they could have done a better job kind of arranging the tracks and the order that they come in. So without further ado, the last track is I Could Have Been, and I think this was the most recent single. But one of my favorite tracks of the record. Definitely that chorus hit, super good, super catchy. Another really catchy one. I would say that Silver Lights and I Could Have Been are my two favorites, hands down. Best tracks off the record. There are a few others. Drag Me Down's really going cut and dry. I think this record is just a super solid record with some really excellent tracks, and I'm really excited for the future of In Her Own Words. I feel like they really kind of laid the groundwork with this record, and for future records to come. I feel like it's almost on that same basis as the first State Champ record, which is, um, well, I'm brain farting, but the first State Champ record, or maybe it's the second one. I don't know. It's all the I don't even remember, but it's one of their more popular records. And then obviously they released all around the world, and they've released countless. I mean, not countless other ones. They released an acoustic EP, but this is in State Champs. But I feel like it's on that same caliber as that second record from State Champs. It just has this infectious vibe to it, and I think I'll be listening to this definitely for the rest of the year. It just got this really catchiness. It's got this real grit to it, that other bands don't really have, and I feel like they can really go really heavy with it in some parts, and they can go really like light in some parts. Also another cool thing to mention is, in I Could Have Been, has this kind of like almost like spoken word sort of part. I think that's very different, very unique. Something they could maybe expound upon maybe in the next record. I think it's a cool just additive. But let's get into the pros and cons of this record. Pro, I love the diversity on this record. There are some pop rock tracks, there are some pop punk tracks, there are some heavier bits. I wouldn't say, uh, I mean, there are some hardcore kind of bits. There are some like definitely some different influence pulls without a doubt. It just got a nice variety to it. And I also feel like another pro is that it doesn't get monotonous. It's very free flowing throughout the record, but at the same time, like, you're very familiar of how it's gonna sound, what track's gonna sound good. And I also feel like the catchiness of this record is just on point. There are some tracks, again, like I said, Silver Lights, I Could Have Been, um, would sit alone in silence. Those tracks have this sort of infectious pull, this sort of lyrical. I don't know, something in my head was just like, man, these lyrics are great, and just like the overall way that it was approached is great. And I also feel like another pro of this record is that it was just methodical, it was very thought out. Each track I feel like is in the best spot it possibly could be, and they just hit it out the park for me. But I really don't have any cons for this record. I hope that they don't change up their sound too much from this. I hope, if anything, maybe they go a little bit heavier in some directions, and then just a little bit more, pop rock or something like that. Just some diversity. I feel like, again, variety is the spice of life. So I feel like they really, held to that mantra, and so I think honestly they killed it. My overall rating for this record would probably be a 9 out of 10, without a doubt. I wouldn't say it's my album of the year, only because Artifacts Pareo just blew my freaking mind. So without a doubt, I would put this in my favorites of the year. I would definitely put this as pop punk record of the year for me. Overall, it just has this infectiousness to it, and I think over time it'll get even better. I will definitely be picking it up, so you guys should definitely pick it up as well. This is an excellent record, and one that you should definitely not miss out on. I will try to leave the link for the stream in the description as well, so definitely go check that out. Let me know what your thoughts are on this record. If you have heard of In Her Own Words, definitely let me know in the comments. Also, let me know what your favorite tracks are on this record. There are a bunch, like I just said, I mentioned my favorites, so let me know what your favorites are. Let me know if you've seen them. I want to see them very soon. I know they were on tour with Hawthorne Heights now, but they didn't come to my area. So hopefully next time, fingers crossed, they come around here so I can see them. They sound great, so I hope that they sound great live, and they just kind of add to that whole list. But definitely pop punk record of the year for me. Super solid record from these guys. Congrats, in her own words. Awesome record. Definitely will be picking it up this week. So again, if you like my review, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps out the channel, and thank you so much. Also, if you enjoy what I do, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It means a lot. You don't even know. Thank you for almost getting us to 150. So help us push to that 150 subscriber kind of goal. And hopefully you guys enjoy what I do, and leave me any bands you'd like me to do in the comment section below. And with that being said, guys, we'll talk to you later. Deuces.
So did you like the video? Then make sure you subscribe to Audio Addiction's channel by hitting that button right over there. Subscribe to our channel helps you stay up to speed on all of our latest content. Speaking of latest content, you can check out a recent episode from our live weekly show right down there, as well as a recent album review right over there. And you can check us out on social media right over there. So what are you waiting for? Let's talk music.